Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Black Logic. I have a couple of updates for you guys according to the news. Updates about Gaza, as well as the 60-minute interview unedited version that 60 Minute has released, as well as the federal workers deadline is today. So let's jump right into it because Donald Trump has announced that Israel will hand over the Gaza Strip to the United States once the current fighting ends, with the local population resettled elsewhere, thereby negating the need for U.S. troops on the ground. This plan envisions transforming Gaza into a thriving region dubbed the Riviera of the Middle East. However, the proposal has sparked global criticism with concerns over forced displacement and potential violation of international law. Saudi Arabia and Jordan have rejected the plan, viewing it as an attempt at forced displacement, which is considered a war crime. Palestinians have strongly opposed leaving their land, drawing parallels to the Nabucco of 1948. The ongoing conflict has caused significant displacement, but many residents of Gaza remain staunchly against leaving permanently because this is their homeland. They've been through a war-torn warland for a long time when it comes against Israel, and they want to rebuild their homeland and stay where they've always been. And this is where I put a stop, pause on what Donald Trump is essentially doing, because now we're entering in the Middle East where it seems as though we're not going to be the liberators that Americans have been from around the world, but now we're going to be occupiers of a land that is not naturally part of the United States of America, where these are the Palestinians' land, and part of that, the Gazans that live there want to stay in their homeland. If anything, those Arab countries need to support Gaza as well as Palestine in rebuilding that part of the country, okay? And a lot of times other, colonial powers as well as European powers, anytime they go and destroy a nation that's much weaker than them, they relinquish power, they relinquish their government back to them. And in most times, they actually help them to rebuild their country. So I would, guess that Israel will put in support of rebuilding Gaza. I know a lot of people like that's not going to happen, but at least those companies who are coming out against America, essentially Gaza being handed over to America, that they support them in any way possible, resources, equipment, etc. when it comes to Saudi Arabia and Jordan, the two main Middle Eastern countries that are speaking out against this altogether. So again, we're going to update you guys as this unfolds, because this is very, very important, because these could essentially lead to war. A lot of the tough talk and taking over Gaza and Israel handing over Gaza to America, this can lead to a very lengthy war in the Middle East, where, again, the Middle East has a very dark history. The Middle East has been at war with each other for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And I don't think America, because look at it now. We've been to Iraq, we've been to Afghanistan, and we still don't have a foothold in those regions. We can, quote unquote, say we won the conflict, we won the battle, we won the war, but they still have large groups of terrorists over there. Their countries are still unstable, and they're still waiting to fight tooth and nail for their land. So again, I do not believe this is a good move by Donald Trump and trying to take over or occupy Gaza in any way. I just don't think that's a good look at all. I don't think this is the right move. And in response to this, it's kind of like these are connecting factors, because Israel has informed the United Nations Human Rights Council that it will follow the United States in withdrawing its participation. Foreign Minister Saar cited the council's ongoing unrelenting institutional bias against Israel as their primary reason for this decision. This withdrawal underscores the strained relationship between Israel and international human rights bodies, raising questions about the future of human rights advocacy in the region. And now they can't be put up on charges from international law because they're no longer part of the International UN Humane Rights Society or Association. They can no longer be put up on human rights trial because they're no part of the organization anymore. And then they probably have the backing of the United States of America. So again, no one is going to infiltrate or invade Israel, especially being very strong allies with America. Is this the right move? There's a lot going on, and Donald Trump is using the power and influence of America. He's doing a lot of great things, but he's doing some very things that are very, very controversial that doesn't really seem America first. I'm still on the America first. I'm not on America invading or occupying other lands that are foreign to us, where their natural languages, not English, where their natural culture is not American. Again, I think we can be stretching ourselves way too far. Okay, we should be liberators, okay, not occupiers. That's just my take on it. And Israel is following suit. I wonder how this is going to unfold, but I'm going to keep you guys updated nonetheless. But these are very important moves politically and economically that a lot of these countries are making, and these may turn into military actions down the line. Hopefully that won't happen. But it's very, very possible. Now, I know you guys are aware that the FCC has published a full transcript and video of 60 Minutes interview with former Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, this release comes amid an investigation into a complaint of news distortion against CBS. The unedited footage reveals significant edits made for the broadcast, sparking discussions about media ethics and the portrayal of political figures. The FCC is currently reviewing whether the broadcast violated rules against news distortion. I wonder if this is a stretch or not, because what essentially occurred is she was asked questions, and I believe it was one or two questions where they edited out and she changed her questions. And again, everyone knows, regardless if you're a Kamala Harris supporter or not, sometimes when she's answering questions, she's saying a bunch of nothing. She's saying a bunch of word salad. She's speaking outside of the side of her neck. She just coming up with anything. And I think that is one of the reasons. There's many reasons why Donald Trump won, but that's one of the reasons why Donald Trump won, because it seems as though he does his own version of word salad, but it seems like he gets to the point a little quicker than Kamala Harris, or he say things to kind of shock and argue that maybe even deflect from the original question, but it's still not on the same magnitude of Kamala Harris' political word salad. That, what are your thoughts on the Palestinians and Gaza and fighting a war against Israel? I think, we have two countries who are really fighting for their way in the world, and, grapes are growing in Gaza. Yeah, they have purple grapes in Gaza. So we have to look how we can cultivate those grapes and really bring the Israelis and Gazians together so they can live in a peaceful manner. What the hell are you talking about, Kamala? Talking about some grapes. But nonetheless, I'm going to show you guys a clip that the Valuetainment guys put together, and I think they did a really good edit on this. So fair use. I want you guys to listen in and tell me what you think about Kamala Harris.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Okay, so
that is
all right. So there you have it. She gave some long, borne out response where the edited version, you see, was very short, clear, and concise. Where the first one was kind of word salad, but we see her in her true habitat. We've seen Kamala Harris even on interviews, and she won't do an interview longer than an hour. That's another key thing that Donald Trump went on the Joe Rogan podcast. He went on some other podcasters, and he did 2-3 hours where he was just being questioned. It wasn't just political, it was personal, and he was answering them like a normal person. We have never seen Kamala Harris, at least the public, probably her cronies have, but the public has never seen Kamala Harris answer questions for 2 or 3 hours, because eventually we're going to get to the root to who you are, where you grew up, what foods do you like. We're going to question some of the controversial things you have said and what you have done. And she never talked to Americans on a personal level. We're living in a social media world. We're living in a social media world. People who have never thought to be on social media. There's people from the young age of 8 on social media to the tender age of 80 on social media. There's a wide range of people who are now adapting to the social media way of life, where you get your news, your entertainment, your information, your DEYs, etc. It goes on and on and on. But Kamala Harris didn't want to bless the public with that. So these are the results that she returned with, and so be it, because this is nothing that the American people wanted. We wanted to know who in the heck was Kamala Harris, and guess what? We still don't know. Some people are still flaming about, is she black? Is she Jamaican? Is she Irish? Is she Indian? Nobody knows who Kamala Harris is, except for Kamala Harris, by the way. But nonetheless, millions of U.S. government workers face a deadline to decide whether to accept a buyout offer from Trump administration as part of a broader effort to downsize the federal government. Now, the program led by Elon Musk, DOGE, aims to reduce taxpayer expense and the influence of the so-called deep state. However, concerns over the legitimacy of the offer persist, with fears that it could be a covert effort to identify disloyal workers. Unions and Democrats have advised against accepting the offer, questioning its legality and the government's ability to fulfill its promises. This situation has created significant uncertainty and fear among federal employees. But when I really think about this, and they're combing through a lot of the government agencies, and they're finding out a lot about the fraud, waste, and abuse, which a lot of us already knew about. Okay, a lot of us already knew about this, but it's more clear, it's more transparency, and a lot of the moves that they're making when it's coming to, like, even United States Aid, that organization, they found out that a lot of the money were going to terrorist groups, essentially, in support of those, and Africans was coming out. Africans from the continent of Africa, from the many different countries, were coming out and stating that the so-called U.S. aid money, USAID money, was never reaching the people, that it was getting tied up in their government, and people were just splurging, buying Bentleys, and they were saying that it's good that Donald Trump actually cut off U.S. aid because the people of this African country, the people of that Asian country, never received the funds. They never received the report. Yeah, you see some photoshops, you see some pictures of people receiving bags of rice, but where's the real support of the billions of dollars that we have forked over to a lot of these non-American countries and these non-American territories? We wasn't giving USAID to Puerto Rico, an American territory. We was not doing that, or the U.S. Virgin Islands. No, we were giving money to all countries in Africa, all countries in Asia, all countries in Eastern Europe. Nothing was really done to those people who needed the most, are the Americans in the American territory. So again, so far, so good. And there's areas that DOGE is really climbing into. We're going to talk about it. But millions of federal workers face a deadline today. And guess what? A lot of people would like to really calm Donald Trump in a negative manner. And so be it. You should be looking at your political figures very neutrally, and some of you may have a strong stance on the negative connotation. Some of you may have a strong stance on the positive connotation. I look at it for what it is. Some of the things that they're doing are great. Some of the things they're doing are very controversial. But when it comes to this and combing through a lot of the fraud, waste, and abuse in our American government, and the wasteful spending, the wasteful, expensive, and spending of the American tax dollar, this is absolutely good. Now, the firing of federal workers, this could be somewhat hasty in a sense, but we'll see how it unfolds. Again, I hope that they're making the right choice, the right decisions for the American people. Now, what they're not stating is that Donald Trump, if you were to accept this offer, Donald Trump is going to pay these people for the next 7 months, up until September. So you tell me that if I accept your offer, you're going to pay me my full pay and full benefits up until September. I think I would take 2 months off. My wife and I were talking about this coming from the gym this morning. I would take 2 months off. Yeah, you're going to see me all around the world. I'm going to be taking shots. I'm going to be on vacation. But when I come back with my 5 months, I'm going to be creating resumes. I'm going to be taking interviews. I'm going to be back on the job. But I'm gonna thank Donald Trump for them 2 months because again, a lot of these people don't want to lose their jobs. Okay, I'm looking at the better half of it, but the realism of it is that before we start to fire thousands of Americans from these jobs, what did you guys believe it's DEI hires? And again, I told you the statistics of DEI hires because for some reason, anytime someone says DEI, they picture a black person. No, no, no. According to the Department of Labor, DEI initiatives have benefited these groups. The top three I'm familiar with, but I may get the other ones wrong. But let's just say this: white women, white men, Hispanics, Asians, LGBTQ, and then black folk in that particular order. Also, there has been a call for a workforce of skilled laborers to come to Florida because they're going to be having in the next 2 years 500,000 job opening for skilled laborers and tradesmen. So again, because of the illegal immigration and they're being deported, this is going to allow opportunities for Americans who have these skills, who have these trades to go in and get these jobs. But you're going to have to pay Americans fair wage. Okay. If they're going to do a fair job, if they're going to do fair work, you're going to have to pay them a fair wage. You're not going to pay an American citizen to operate these large crane systems, $9 an hour like you did illegal immigrants. No, you're going to have to pay them $20, $25, $30 an hour. So a lot of that profit that a lot of these contracting and construction jobs were getting, yeah, you probably was getting 1,000% profit. You're going to have to cut that down to around 250%. You'll still be rich, but you're going to have to start paying Americans for these jobs that you allow illegal immigrants to come in and infiltrate and fire Americans, fire white Americans, mostly black Americans. Don't get me wrong, because a lot of these people who hold these contracts, okay, are not black Americans, are not Hispanic Americans, are not Asian Americans. Unfortunately, they're white Americans and they've been hiring illegals. That's why I like the law that Ron DeSantis put in place. Not stating that I like Ron DeSantis, but I'm saying that I like the law that he put in place because he's going after the businesses that has been hiring illegal immigrants. So again, a lot of things are shaping up great for American citizens altogether, and I'm glad that we're here for it. Next on the list, this could be very controversial because now we're talking about Medicaid and Medicare. Because Elon Musk with Doge has gained access. They have been given access to Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, also known as CMS. And they've been given this access to investigate potential fraud and waste within key payment and contracting systems. They said, first of all, who has these contracts? Where are these payments going to that are million, 10 million, $1 billion? So Doge access is currently read only. They can only read, they can't change, they can't stop, they can't do anything except read only. And their focus extends to analyzing the agency's organizational structure and staffing. Okay, who are these people and what do they do? And this move is part of a broader effort by Doge allies to control federal spending and access sensitive information across various government sectors. However, concerns have been raised about the unprecedented intrusion and its implication for national security. I don't agree with those terms that I put together because, quite frankly, we need to do a deep dive into a lot of these government systems. Americans who are in need of Medicare and Medicaid, their support, their benefits should not be touched. They should not be halted. They should not be delayed. But again, what we find out in a lot of these government systems, the purpose of the government system seems great on the cover, seems great on the outside. But when they start to really dig in and who's in what spot and what position and what they're doing and where the money is going, we're finding out a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse in the American government. Okay, we're finding out that the people who need the help and support and benefits the most, yeah, they're receiving it, but they're not receiving it as much as they should. And the span, okay, the spectrum of the many more Americans that can be supported are not being covered because it's with outside the budget. Okay, as we look at the budget, let's say, for instance, that the Medicaid budget is $50 billion. I know there's a lot more than that. I'm just giving an arbitrary number, but the Medicaid budget is $50 billion. And then we look, okay, well, $30 billion are going for those who need help the most. Where are the other 20 billion going? Oh, administrative fees. Well, we're the federal government. We can sue our own administrative fees. Oh, where are taxes? We're the federal government. Why we're paying taxes to ourselves? See, a lot of these things, they use a lot of these government agencies, political legislators, tax loopholes in order to funnel money somewhere. That is why people like Kash Patel, the FBI incoming director, is talking about the deep state and how they operate with big businesses behind these corporate shadow governments. So again, a lot of transparency. I'm glad that we are here for it. I know a lot of us are excited. Good morning, Volvo and Errol Davis. Errol Davis states that, when has the Middle East not been in war? Exactly. And that is why I'm not for going over there and occupying Gaza in any way. Also, your morning report is commendable. Well, thank you very much. I do appreciate that. My question is, do you have the intel that the DJT has is almost like an armchair quarterbacking? Let's watch, observe, and judge the process. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'll get more into that probably in another broadcast, but I am familiar with what you're referring to. And here's another great story. So a lot of good news today, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of good news, because in response to tariff threats by President Donald Trump, Mexico has deployed the first of 10,000 National Guard troops to its northern border. And we're talking about the southern border of the United States, which is the northern border of Mexico. And the troops observed along the El Paso frontier are part of an agreement delaying tariffs on Mexico in exchange for national efforts to curb fentanyl smuggling, child trafficking, and all other sorts of mess that was coming across the border. The U.S. aims to support these efforts by controlling gun trafficking into Mexico and combating cartel violence. And this deployment is seen as a strategic diplomatic move by Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum amidst differing expectation due to drops in migration levels and fentanyl overdose over the past year. This is a great thing. Could you imagine a world where Mexico is securing their borders? What an America we live in, ladies and gentlemen. What an America we live in where the president has threatened to oppose tariffs. Just, we're going to put a hefty tax on you if you don't secure your borders. You know what? We'll get right on it, Mr. President Trump. We have 10,000 troops. Where was these 10,000 troops during the Biden administration? Okay? Where was these 10,000 troops during the Biden administration? And a lot of people are giving Donald Trump a green pass on his first term because, again, he wasn't a staunch politician. He was just learning politics. So now that a couple of politicians put a couple of drops of wisdom in his ear of what he can do with his presidential powers, he's using it. He's probably using his presidential power in ways that you shouldn't even use your presidential powers. Okay, but nonetheless, we're seeing results. When have you seen this? When have you seen a Mexican president say, you know what? We don't want 25% tariffs. So we're going to deploy 10,000 troops on the border. And I want to make sure I make this clear to you guys, because the way that we look at illegal immigration is totally wrong. It's totally discriminatory. And I'm going to tell you why. When we look at illegal immigration and when we look at illegal immigrants, most people are just looking at Hispanic people and Latino people, okay? Which is absolutely wrong. It's true that majority of the illegal immigrants are from Hispanic and Latino heritage and background. That's true. But there are illegal immigrants who are Haitian, who look like me, that are not Black Americans. There are people from the Caribbean. There are people from Africa. There are people from Asia. Don't forget, a year and a half ago, there were 30,000 Chinese men who came through Mexico into America illegally. 30,000 Chinese men. But don't forget, there's Afghanis here. There are people from Ukraine here. Now, the people from Ukraine, America did give them asylum, but we're talking about illegal immigrants. There are Indians here from the country of India. Not all of them are H-1B visa. Some of them came from south of the border too. There are Eastern Europeans, white folk that came south of the border. So again, when we look at illegal immigration, it's not just Hispanics and Latinos. It's not just Haitians and Caribbeans. It's not just Africans and Asians. It's everybody. Even Donald Trump said we have illegal immigrants who came through the southern border because it's not secure neither on the Mexico side or the American side, and they're from all around the world. The reason why this is very, very important to the majority of Americans, which are still white to the point, the majority of America is still white, is because if you see another white person, you're never going to think that they're an illegal immigrant, even if they have an accent. You're going to think, okay, they came from some sort of European country the right way. That is your first thought. But no, we have reports. There's evidence, there's proof, okay? There's logs and records that show that all of these people from all these countries, whether be from Europe, Asia, Africa, Caribbean, and otherwise, have come through the southern border. Okay. Yeah, that is Bangladesh, you name it. They've been coming through the southern border. So the problem with this is a lot of the people who are illegal immigrants and their compadres who are American citizens or American residents or those with visas or green cards, they've been getting in the streets of California. They've been getting on the highways of California and protesting. And the majority of the flags seems as though they're Mexican, but I've seen some other Central American flags as well. They are putting a target on their back. Have you noticed, have you seen Indian folk march or protest? Haven't seen it. Have you seen any Haitians marching or going through the town talking about we're not going to leave? Did you see any of those? Did you see any Caribbeans or Africans? Did you see any Chinese men? Did you see that? I haven't seen them either. But only the people who seem to know they're from either Mexico or Central America have been doing that. They're putting targets on their back. They're putting targets on their back. You're making it easy for them. We don't need to investigate. They're on Highway 10 in LA. Don't make any sense. And then here's the disrespectful part. You are protesting in a country you want to stay in with your country's flag. See, I think there's some red heart, warm-hearted blooded Americans. If you were just waving the American flag and the only thing you guys with the American flag and you had tears down your eyes and you just waved the American flag and say, I'm from this country, but I have American pride. I love what America stands for. And you knew the Pledge of Allegiance, you knew the national anthem, you knew the Declaration of Independence, and you knew the Constitution. Even though you're illegal, there are going to be some Americans like, you know what? Not all of them are that bad. Can they be on a hold status? Can we give them temporary visas? People will start making away from you. Even those people who were like, get all the illegals out. Get all the illegals out. Some of them were like, look at them. They have American flags. They're showing American pride. Some of them even like our sports teams. There are going to be some Americans who will come on your side. But if you're in the streets and you guys are playing Hispanic music, Mexican music, all this music, waving your flag, talking about, hell no, we won't go, signs in Spanish, we're like, yeah, that don't make any sense to us. That don't make any sense to us. They said there were already 15,000 troops already there. Okay, we never seen them. I don't know where they've been. Maybe they was just chilling. I don't know. Oh, what's going on, Reanimated? It says B1 to you. Thank you guys for joining me here this evening. And of course, for you guys joining, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button, because again, during this month and this first and last week of this month, I would like to introduce you to people you probably don't already know who are not only great Americans and contribute to the world, but they contribute to America, and they put America on the map as not only the most powerful country in the world, but the most innovative, with some of the most people who invented some of the most eye-opening contraptions and apparatuses that we've, again, couldn't even imagine exist. Let me introduce you to George Edward Alcorn. Because again, I want you guys to really imagine a world where scientists and doctors couldn't analyze distant planets. Where's Neil deGrasse Tyson? Neil, you out there? I'm pretty sure Neil deGrasse Tyson know about George Edward Alcorn, because he's always talking about space and planets and the Milky Way and the Goldilocks zone. Well, let's talk about it. Because doctors couldn't analyze distant planets or detect diseases using x-rays. Now imagine that the technology behind these breakthroughs was invented by a Black man whose name is rarely mentioned in history books. This man is Dr. George Edward Alcorn Jr., the brilliant physicist, also, again, engineer and inventor who in 1982 developed the X-ray imaging spectrometer, a groundbreaking device that revolutionized space exploration, medical imaging, and industrial technology. His work at NASA, combined with his 8 patents in aerospace and semiconductor technology, also known as microchips, solidifies his place as one of the greatest Black scientific minds of the 20th century. Yet, like many Black inventors before him, his contributions have been largely erased from mainstream recognitions. He was born in 1940 in Indianapolis, Indiana. George Edward displayed exceptional intelligence from a very early age. He went to earn a bachelor's degree in physics from Howard University, a master's degree in nuclear physics from Howard University, a PhD in atomic and molecular physics from Howard University, at a time when Black scientists faced immense racial barriers. Alcorn defied the odds, proving that Black brilliance belongs at the forefront of scientific discovery. What have Black Americans contributed to America? What have Black Americans contributed to the world as we know it? X-ray imaging spectrometry. In the early 1980s, scientists were struggling to accurately analyze X-ray emissions from space and other complex materials. Traditional X-ray detectors lack precision and efficiency, limiting their usefulness in fields like astronomy, medicine, and material science. That is when Alcorn changed the game. He invented the X-ray imaging spectrometer in 1982. A device greatly improved the ability to detect and analyze X-rays with more accuracy and detail. His invention allowed NASA to study celestial bodies and cosmic phenomena more effectively, enhancing our understanding of the universe. Beyond space, his technology transformed medical imaging, leading to better diagnosis for diseases such as cancer and fractures. For this achievement, he was awarded a NASA Inventor of the Year award in 1984, but his contributions were never given the widespread recognition they deserve. Alcorn's X-ray imagery spectrometer didn't just advance space exploration, it had far-reaching effects across multiple industries. He helped NASA detect X-ray emissions from distant planets, stars, and galaxies, improved X-ray and CT scan technology, leading to better disease detection, used in material analysis, production inspection, and non-destructive testing. He helped improve X-ray scanning for airport security and defense application. This invention, like many created by Black scientists, have touched millions of lives, but how many people know his name? Even before his groundbreaking work on X-ray imaging, Alcorn was making waves in semiconductor technology and aerospace engineering. He held 8 patents related to a semiconductor device, helping advance microchip and electronic device technology. At NASA, he worked on space shuttles and satellite technology, shaping the future of aerospace engineering. He mentored and inspired countless Black engineers and scientists, ensuring that future generations will continue breaking barriers in STEM. Despite his brilliance and achievements, Alcorn, like many Black scientists, faced racism and exclusion, not inclusion like DEI, in his fields. His contributions were often overlooked in favor of white scientists. Mainstream science history rarely credits his name alongside other great inventors. Many of his patents and breakthroughs were absorbed into larger corporations and government agencies without giving him due recognitions. Yet, he persisted, and his legacy lives on in every X-ray machine, space telescope, and semiconductor device that benefit from his work. Awarded NASA Inventor of the Year in '84, inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame for his technological contributions, continue mentoring Black students in STEM, and ensuring the next generation of Black scientists and engineers live on. His work impacts all of us, from doctors diagnosing diseases, scientists studying the universe, to everyday people passing through airport security scanners. Dr. George Edward Alcorn Jr. is more than an inventor. He is a pioneer, a visionary, and a testament to Black excellence in science and technology. So the next time you see an X-ray machine, a CT scan, or hear about space exploration, remember Dr. George Edward Alcorn Jr. And I pointed out some things right here that I want you guys to see. Just point out a couple of things that you guys may not be aware of. I'll see if I can blow that up just a little bit there. It says here that he developed technology for space stations and private institutions across the nation. Okay, what are these technologies? A lot of times when people say these very vague things on websites, they say these technologies. What technologies did he? I wonder. Probably some things that we probably should know about. But nonetheless, I thank you guys for joining me here this morning. You guys have a great and wonderful day. And I'll see you guys this evening. This is Black Logic.